As a garment sewer conscious of waste, you know how quickly fabric scraps left over from your projects can build up. But imagine you run a clothing brand committed to saving and using up every piece of scrap. Designers Birgitta Helmersson and Sam Grose tell me about their brand, Helgrose, that operates in precisely this way. Plus, they've just written an awesome new book that shares the main 3 methods they use for turning fabric scraps into desirable wearable pieces, so you can do the same at home. Stick around a few minutes to hear Birgitta and Sam's insights. Welcome to Check Your Thread, the podcast that will help you sew more sustainably. My name's Zoe and I'm obsessed with sewing. I've been blogging about it for over 17 years and I'm the creator and host of the popular handmade wardrobe challenge, Me Made May. But, like many people, I've become increasingly concerned about the climate and ecological crises, and I'm looking at the way that my lifestyle contributes to them. So in this podcast, I'll be nerding out about making clothes whilst exploring how to minimise the negative impact that it may have. I really hope you'll join me in this journey. Hi, lovely one. How are you doing? Thanks so much for pressing play on this episode. Thanks also to those listeners who have been letting me know recently when and where they listen to the podcast. As an example, Check Your Thread Patreon community member Sharon recently left this note in the community chat spaces on Patreon. Okay, Zoe, here's what I did whilst listening to your latest episode. A holiday gift for my mum's kitchen. 2 pot holders, 2 jar openers and 3 bowl covers, all from my resources. Thanks for bringing us to London to the fabric swap. It was fun hearing about what and why people swap. You may be in trouble, however, now that you've discovered that you can purchase fabric on Vinted. So actually, Sharon, so far I haven't allowed myself to check out the fabric on Vinted. Although I did recently rediscover the D-Stash for Palestine Instagram account, and I know I'm going to be trawling through there again regularly because there's often some amazing stuff on there. And obviously it's an incredibly important cause to be raising funds for. This week, I get to say huge thanks to Sarah and Kerry for signing up to financially support the podcast via Patreon. And huge thanks to existing patron Anne for upping the amount of their support. I am so grateful to everyone who is able to offer support to keep this podcast afloat. If you'd like to be part of the Check Your Thread Patreon community, please head to patreon.com/checkyourthread to see what's going on over there and to sign up for any amount at all that makes sense to you. So this week's episode, I know you're going to love this one. It was such a fun conversation and there are lots of laughs as well as some useful tips for sewing with scraps. My interest in sewing with scraps has been completely renewed by talking to Birgitta and Sam and by flicking through their incredible new book, which I absolutely recommend you get hold of. So make sure you put it on your Christmas list if that's a thing for you, or as we mentioned in the episode, see if it's available at your local library. And if it isn't, ask them to see if they could get it in. So, of course, sewing with scraps is not a new topic to this podcast feed. There are a bunch of previous episodes about sewing with scraps if this is something that interests you. And I've linked them all in the show notes so that you can queue them up to listen to after this one. And I've also linked to the other 3 episodes I've previously made with Birgitta as well. So, quick programming note, there is not going to be an episode next week. This week is the half-term holidays, so my kids are home. Plus, it's my birthday and I really need to take a bit of time off to be with my family and catch up on some home stuff and life stuff and enjoy my birthday. So until 2 weeks time, when I'll have another conversation for you about a very different type of book, take care of yourself, take care of your loved ones, take care of those who could use our help where possible. See if you can get hold of Sewing with Scraps somewhere or other and enjoy.
Freaking gold.
Missed the banter. Damn.
The banter was so strong.
Yeah, we
So
had a strong banter
You
game.
missed the bit where we slagged off all other podcasts.
I feel like I listen to a lot of podcasts.
Yeah,
though.
you do.
I do. I listen to a lot. I've always got my headphones in, even like cooking dinner or anything.
Yeah,
really.
it's true, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if it is good or not. It's a little antisocial.
Are you going to listen to this one? Probably not.
No, I'm like
will you
Birgitta.
listen back
No,
to
I
it?
don't like the sound of my own voice. I have a terrible sounding voice.
I don't think many people
But
do.
yeah, nobody does. Nobody does.
I think, I used to hate it, but I kind of got used
Yeah,
to
I
it.
guess
right.
you've
I
got
guess you
you've
would-
got to
you would
listen
get
back
used
to
to
it,
it.
don't you? Otherwise, who's going to do the editing in there?
Well, and also, like, I just want to check that it's, like, listenable. It's like, if I can't bear to listen to it, I can't expect anyone else to.
This is true.
It's, like, not fair. Anyway, welcome to the podcast. Welcome back, Birgitta,
Yes.
I should say, and welcome,
Thanks,
Sam, for the
thank
first
you.
time. So, for those who do not know, can you please tell us who you are, where you are, and what fills your days?
You want to
Either
start,
of you.
Sam?
Yeah, my name's Sam. We're in Malmö, Sweden, but I'm Australian. What fills my days? Working, family, cooking,
podcast listening,
cycling, a lot of cycling.
Yeah,
But no,
Malmö's the
mostly
place
just
for
working in
cycling.
the studio and being a dad, really. Yeah, that's it.
Awesome. So huge congratulations on your new book. I'm going to waft my copy here. It's so good. It's so beautiful and it's so inspiring. So well done.
You.
So I've got loads I want to talk to you about it. And also I've got some incredible questions posed by the Check Your Thread Patreon community as well. So I'm going to be peppering those in amongst it as well. Okay, right. So obviously this is a sewing podcast and we know Birgitta predominantly through her zero waste sewing patterns. So Sam, can you tell us more about your joint unisex workwear brand?
Yeah, so in 2018, when Birgitta and I moved to Sweden, and I'm a chef by trade, so I'd been working as a chef for forever and was really ready to not be a full-time chef. And was...
So you thought, we're going to move and then I'm going to push that aside at the same time.
Yeah, and I was really inspired by everything Birgitta was doing in Melbourne with her label at the time. And I guess I muscled my way into that.
It's like,
There's got to be space for me in here somewhere.
so when we move to Sweden, I'm going to be working in the business, all right? I'm not going to go be a chef.
Which was kind of almost the ultimatum, really, wasn't it? So yeah, we started Helgrose, which is both of our names, and combined
Helmersson
and
Grose.
Gross, Helgrose,
Helgrose.
which I thought was a little bit of a
So cute.
funny slang. Yeah, so what happened? So we got to Malmo and we started Helgrose, which I really just wanted to be a workwear label, a sort of unisex workwear label. But you kind of stipulated from the very start that we wanted to have I wasn't so fussed about it being a zero waste production model.
Right.
Though Birgitta...
You love waste.
No, I know. I mean, I wasn't like I was so green at that stage, and I wasn't so aware of the issue that is
Of
waste
waste, yeah.
within the industry.
Yeah, and if you're not making garments regularly, you might not be aware of like how quickly.
Look,
Yeah.
I mean, 100%,
the scrap,
absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. And Birgitta kind of stipulated from the word go, okay, well, it's going to be a zero waste production model, which I don't really think I understood what that sort of was at the time so much.
You're like,
But-
all right.
But it was that, and we started that from scratch. And I pretty much just went in 2018 working under Birgitta, I guess almost as like, would you call it like an informal apprenticeship to a degree? Started,
You're thrown right into the deep end.
into the deep end, and
Exciting.
yeah, it was really cool. It was really cool.
So, Birgitta, are those garments made using more common pattern cutting methods, or are they also zero waste
So
pattern
that's
cutting?
where the concept of the zero waste production model came in, because we were using conventional patterns, and I was like, okay, well, if we're going to do that, then we need to find a way somehow to not create waste, because that's where I was coming from. And so we were like, all right, well, why don't we just save every offcut that we have and figure out what to do, like to do something else with it.
So, are you making the garments yourselves?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'd have to. It'd be just the way we work. It'd be so we couldn't really outsource it. I don't think.
Yeah.
But look, for me, it made a lot of sense with coming from the background I came from, which was cooking and working in the kitchen, and that's a similar industry in that it creates a lot of waste, and you really try and use all of that waste. I guess it's a little bit easier in a kitchen to do that. You sort of save all of your bits that you don't use in a meal that you serve to a customer, but you'll feed that to the staff, and there's a real emphasis.
I don't think he's talking about taking their half-finished plates.
Yeah.
You guys,
No, I'm talking about when you.
that's what I was picturing when you said that.
I don't know. When you say when you
kitchen,
fillet a
yeah.
fish, there's parts of a fish you can't use, I guess, and those are the parts you then cook for a staff meal. So for me, it made sense because I'd been taught that when you bring a product in, you always want to use as much as the product as you can because it costs you money.
Interesting. So I'm wondering, because I'm thinking about the stats of when like mass production of clothing happens. Normally there's typically about 15% waste of fabric, even with like, the tightest lay plans. I'm wondering what the comparison in food and
Yeah, that's
cooking is.
interesting. I guess I would say that, from what you get into the kitchen until you send it out to a customer would be about between 10 and 20. Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
Interesting.
So
Some
around the
parallels.
same. And then, yeah. So look, for me, just in regards to beginning, I guess, with our zero waste production model, look, it made sense. And it was exciting. It was really cool. Yeah.
So I can't help. I mean, those of us who make our own clothing. I mean, I've got here is my sewing table, and underneath is hell. Basically, I know, we all know how overwhelming scraps can become, and that's just us making maybe one garment every 2 to 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And even when you think that you've got a handle on them, like, oh, I've made a poof or something. Like, you just turn your back, and then, like, obviously it's like you're drowning in them all over again. So I'm just wondering, like, when you're literally making multiple garments every week, I guess what I'm trying to ask is that at what point does in your business and your day-to-day activities become more about dealing with the scraps than all the other kind of processes of like manufacture and marketing and everything else?
Well, the thing, like, actually Sam and I talked a bit about this before we met just today, and actually the scraps are part of our products. I mean, it's actually there's actually no differentiation anymore for us.
It has kind of evolved into that, though. I feel like
in the beginning we were trying to deal with waste.
Yeah, in the beginning it was a bit stressful.
Yeah.
In the beginning it was a bit stressful, and we started.
Yeah,
right,
I
so
can imagine.
we've got this
hang on.
big giant.
We
We've
have
got
to
this big
make
giant
something
work
from this.
table. From the very start, we got big wooden boxes made, and we'd put the dark colours in one and the whites in another, or the lights in another, patterns in another, and colours in another, and they would fill up quite quickly, and that would be stressful. That would be stressful, but I think at that point, and this was all pre-2020, so it was 2018 to 2020, and it really wasn't a huge. We didn't think about the process like we think about it now. We would make.
I think that was a lot more about experimenting.
Yeah,
the
that
first
stage
few
we were
years it was
experimenting.
all over the place, and not
Yeah.
everything worked, but it was our kind of time to research and experiment what would work.
So we do a range, really, I feel, right? And then we do a couple of highlight pieces with the scraps. But a core part of the range was virgin fabrics, essentially, and not scraps.
Yeah.
And then we did also have a couple of projects that were cool, but also a bit of an eye-opener into like, okay, what are we willing to bring into the space? There was a lot of people like, oh, can I drop off some materials to you? Do you guys take in, And in the beginning, we did take in quite a lot of stuff.
And then word spread a little bit, and we just had people coming. It was pretty bad at a point. And we had people coming in.
So we had to sort of
just
stop that quite quickly.
Absolute rubbish.
It's not that we don't take in fabrics sometimes.
But you're not a textile recycling.
Yeah, we
facility,
became a textile
basically.
sorting and recycling facility. We did for it felt like, and it was quite a bit of pressure.
Yeah, and we, because we also felt like, well, of course we should be able to. Okay, but that's our concept. Like we want to be able to remake from. But we learned quite quickly that we had to be very careful about what we did bring in, because everything we brought in, we had that ethos of not throwing any of it away. And also with the jeans, that was a bit of an eye-opener too, because we got this container it was for a project for the city of Malmö for a festival they had, and so we were given a big pallet of secondhand denim that wasn't sellable from like a textile sorting facility, and so that was really cool because we made some really amazing garments from it, but we had so much left over, like all the like bits with studs and zips and parts that we couldn't use, and that was really hard to completely use. It was still good because we made new things from it that were really great, but it wasn't that simple or as, as streamlined as we thought it would be.
What kind of things did you come up with for the bits that had rivets in and everything?
I can't remember now.
Did we just take the rivets out?
We took the rivets out. We did repurpose a lot of the fixtures and zips and things like that. And I think we also, apart from the metal stuff, we ended up using a lot of the offcuts and stuff for stuffing, like for
That's what
for
became
these
our
kind of firm cushions and
I feel
stuff like
like
that. So
when
it
we
was really
when we started, that was kind of our go-to. Ended up being rag rugs,
They're also very
and
time-consuming.
which was super time
Yeah.
consuming, and really like we couldn't sell them for a price that was sort of worth our time.
They're
when you
really time consuming.
Oh, they're so time consuming,
Yeah.
and then you can get them from a $2 shop, and people just couldn't
or
understand.
like a second-hand store.
yeah,
Really
like
cheap.
we
Yeah,
couldn't.
Yeah.
But anyway, stuffing really became a way for us to.
Which
to
is
get-
not our preferred, option either.
But
Yeah.
this is like when we were still exploring. This
Yeah.
was still, this is so many years ago now. We'd make meditation pillows and things like
Yeah.
that, and put as
Draft
much in there
excluders.
as we could.
So community member Fran left a comment that basically boils down to this. In your opinion, or in your book, what constitutes a scrap? Fran has noticed that there's often scrap busting ideas that you can find online that are like using up half a metre or a fat quarter. Is that what you're talking about in this book? What is your definition of a scrap?
A scrap is anything that is even the tiniest little piece of off-cut fabric that you have left, right up until, sure, half a metre of leftover, but that's not really what we're focusing on in this book, actually.
Sure.
No.
We have projects in the book that are suited to both larger scraps, but also to the tiniest little pieces that you have, including threads and whatever is left. Yeah.
There's no minimum size. Yeah, there's no minimum size.
No
But,
minimum requirement.
Maximum size? I don't know. It's a bit of perception, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's been something you've been exploring, it sounds like, for a long time in your business. So at what point did the idea of actually writing a book come into the play? And I think you've done an incredible job, and it's really, really inspiring. And it's really unlike any other book I've seen about using scraps. So props.
Thank you.
But at what point did the idea of actually writing a book about it come to you?
Well, I had, written the Zero Waste Patterns book, and it started to get to this point of okay,
Book number
there'll be
2.
another book, yeah. And it was something that actually it was floated to me by my editor, but we had also been talking about, because we wanted to bring back Helgrose. We've had these sort of simultaneous brands and different things going on over the years, and sometimes we've had to put more time into other parts than so.
Sure.
Yeah, Helgrose kind of went in hiatus in
we just didn't have the time
because the Birgitta Helmersson label, we were just so busy with that.
Yeah. Because that really took off in the lockdown, didn't it? When a lot of people, you didn't have your shop open, and people wanting to have the sewing patterns.
Exactly.
Yeah, so we just stopped. We had to stop working on Helgrose for a few years, and then,
we had these little collections now and then, because another thing maybe is important to mention with Helgrose, we didn't just use virgin fibres, we used vintage fabrics, we used a whole bunch of different things. So we did have these sort of, during those years, now and then we had these small collections of vintage tablecloths and
at that stage we were
bits and
working
pieces,
with
but it
fabrics.
wasn't.
And we did a couple of small
focus.
ranges, and
Nice.
more for fun than for anything else. But our main focus was the Birgitta Helmersson label, and then was it 2023? And we were
Well, we had
wanting
plans to bring it back, and we were trying to figure out how can we do that and what should we do, and then this idea for the book came, and we were I was like, actually that's just hang on, every person that sews has a scrap box that they have to deal with. I mean, we have it on a slightly larger, it's not a large scale. We don't make a lot of we make garments to sell, but we're not we're not doing hundreds all the time of things. It's still small scale, but we have the scrap box, but so does every person that sews, and it's always this thing that you have, I think, already that innate thing of, I want to save everything, which is really good. So that's already existing, but the frustration is always what do I do with it? So that's kind of really where it started.
Yeah, and we looked around at what there was in terms of
clothing, ideas for clothing.
Yeah, and just what ideas people had to what they can do with their scraps.
Often there's many small projects, they feel a bit like an afterthought.
Yeah, it didn't feel like
it's not necessarily something that you actually would use or that's
Absolutely,
functional.
and especially if like you've made the scraps because you've been making clothes because you like making clothes.
Yeah.
Why would you then want to make a makeup case?
Yeah,
or
exactly.
some
Yeah.
makeup wipes
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
something.
that's
Yeah.
so true. That's
Yeah.
so true.
And actually, I think, when we were talking before about, how do we continue to make use of the waste and how we explain, that's actually part of the product range that we do. And I think writing the book together solidified that for us.
Yeah, 100%.
Because now, actually, we've noticed as well, like the other day you said to me, oh, we're actually starting to run really low on these dark coloured scraps.
Yeah.
You know,
Like,
and-
oh no, what are we gonna do? Because I'm in the middle
because
of
all we want to do is make
Yeah.
with scraps. We don't
Oh.
want to make anything else.
I'm in the middle. I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna have the scraps to make this project what I'm working on at the moment. And what are we gonna do about that? We need to now make more scraps.
I think there's a lot of people that could help you out.
Yeah,
that's true.
yeah. But I do think that our process has definitely.
Set up
and
a
I
postal
think
box
perhaps
service.
was it solidified by the book? Maybe.
I think
it was-
not solidified, but it was strengthened.
It was definitely strengthened by the book.
Yeah.
Our
Yeah.
practice now is absolutely, when we think about, we're working on a range at the moment, and it's changed from, okay, starting with like maybe some virgin fabric or bigger scraps, and then, making some garments with vintage but not patched together, not primarily scraps, and then doing a couple of garments that are primarily scrap, to now just
The scraps
it's
are
all
the
scrap.
primary.
Going to the scrap box first.
Yeah.
And
Interesting.
doing it. Yeah, it's really changed.
Yeah.
Which is
And also,
cool.
I'm finding
Fun.
myself I'm like, I want all my clothes to be like this.
Yeah.
And I think like one thing really that we were already doing these sorts of things, but the book allowed us to kind of indulgently explore things that we'd started looking into, but then we kind of just went really deep.
So your book is broken down into 3 chapters, and each of them is a method of using scraps.
Yeah.
So can you explain a bit more about why you chose that format rather than, a lot of books, they're kind of like a project-based one, isn't it? Like, we're going to make it this and that. And obviously there are projects within it, but the way that you've structured it is more based on these 3 different kind of approaches of techniques. So, like, can you explain what those methods and approaches are?
Well, I think for us it's more about teaching this idea of making new fabrics from the scraps, and that they can be applied to any pattern. Well, within reason, depends on the thickness of the fabrics you're making. But we didn't want it to be, individual projects. We wanted people to be able to take the methods
Learn the
and then
method, yeah.
find their own ways of using them, which I think is a lot more creative and free. And it was more about, I think, the concept of it, and teaching the groundwork so that then you can apply it to anything. And so the book comes with patterns, but it's more like a add-on. You can use the patterns that we've used, but you don't have to just apply it to this. It's this kind
you can
of...
apply it to any garment, to any pattern.
Yeah.
But it's sort of, the methods are like the hero, I guess. They're the main, the main kind of thing we want to put across, I guess, and sort of what we've learnt works for us.
And doesn't work. But we didn't talk about what doesn't work.
Yeah, we didn't. What doesn't
does
work
is in the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what are the 3 methods that are in the book?
So there's patchwork, which is
Super
I think
obvious.
the most used method that exists already, but we did that in a few different kind of ways.
That's it, because you've approached it in different ways, and it
Yeah.
looks really
Yeah.
cool.
And it was really fun working on the patchwork in terms of everyone knows patchwork, obviously. And it was cool to try and see how many different variations we can make, and how can we make it different. What can we do to, what seams can we use?
And patchwork, even though it is
finishes.
the most known method of using scraps, it's it's still one of our most favorite methods as well, because it's very practical.
I love it. It's 100% my most favorite method. I could sit there and just patch work fabric together all day, I've realised.
Same.
Yeah, it's just something about it. I really like
It's
it.
kind of magic. It's really magic though, isn't it? Because then you've got a fabric.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's that process, just as you're doing it and you're seeing it come to life, I just find it really, really, really cool.
And as well, if you've got like a certain color palette you tend to work towards, whether or not it's, you know, a design business like yourself or it's an individual sewer, like if you've got a color palette, those scraps are going to kind of come together probably in a way that's really pleasing to you, and is going to look really good in your wardrobe because it
100%.
is made from your wardrobe.
That's such a thing though, isn't it? That's such a thing. Like, because I feel like that's what I love about when you make something, when you patch something and then you sit it next to other garments, that you have those fabrics are in the patched garment, and it just it all ties together.
And
it's
I
so
think
cool.
that's the thing. It is important to start with scraps from your scrap box, from fabrics that you use and like, because you know they are like they're going to tie into everything. You need to start with good scraps,
Good
nice
scraps.
fabrics. I think.
Also, it's a way to kind of get more from the investment that you've originally made as well, isn't it? In the fabric. And...
That's 100% the thing. Like, that's what I thought was really... That's what I couldn't understand making the transition from the kitchen to working under Birgitta in this industry was just... But don't we want to use all of the fabric because we've spent all of the money on all of the fabric? Like... Why are we not using all of it? It just seems really economically silly.
And I think that's the thing that is quite broken now, you know, with not just fashion, but in textiles, but many industries. But, you know, the fabrics, the materials you begin with are often so cheap, and they shouldn't be so cheap. I mean, the labour that goes into them, the resources and everything. But we're so focused on, like, what something has cost as well. So if it's really cheap, then it's fine if we waste 20% because, you know...
Yeah. And they'll just factor that into the costing anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
And that's certainly what, you know, big fast fashion companies do when they're mass producing. They would much rather waste fabric than add another seam because the seam that they add costs money for labour. So... Yeah.
So before we move on a bit more into your book, I just was wondering, like... Birgitta, what was the process of writing this book like with your partner as opposed to writing the book on your own? And how did you like divide the workload as well?
Well, I think in the beginning we were like, all right, how are we going to do this? We've got to make sure that we're not going to kill each other as well. Sounds like we're going to end up having a divorce at the end of this.
Yeah, there's many times during the book, oh my God, we're going to get a divorce.
But actually, it was really nice because this book was so different to my first book. I mean, the first book, even though I do find it very creative, this zero waste method, but it's also very mathematical. So, you know, that was a lot about, I mean, I don't know if I could have done that with someone because it was very specific.
No way.
It was, and you know, I had to really like formulate.
Can you imagine if somebody was like, someone was talking to you halfway through that, you'd be like, you're dead. You're dead.
God, So that was very much needed to be done as a solo project.
Sure, yeah.
I think in the development of it anyway. I mean, now that it's done, it's easy to collaborate in many different ways. But I actually really feel like this book helped me to come back to my more kind of artistic, creative side with textiles. And I think that's actually where I began. I mean, I've done zero waste for a really long time now, but where I began was from a much more art-based method. And I remember when I did my 1 year of fine arts before I pulled out, it was all in textiles, and I was playing and experimenting with textures and dyes. And that, I think that was something I was starting to actually miss. Even though I do love the zero waste patterns, I was missing this kind of tactile, experimental, kind of playful way of working. And so that was really nice. And I think that's the kind of book that is easier to do like together with someone, because
I feel like we did just play a lot.
It was really fun.
It was super fun and playful, wasn't it? I remember, like, because at the start we wrote a proposal and we had a vague kind of idea of what we would do.
I think the book itself was quite strong. Like, we knew exactly why we were doing the book.
Yeah, but we didn't know
But the actual things that we came up with were not.
We didn't know what methods we'd be using, we didn't know anything. I remember at the start of it, we just had a few weeks of just playing, just like making swatches of different fabrics and
That's so fun, because when would you normally get a chance to do that?
Exactly.
You wouldn't, would you? Because
No,
if you're
yeah.
a busy
It
life
was
people.
it was the most incredibly, like, we felt so lucky, I feel
And
like,
and
the
also
whole
just
time,
that like
being able
our
to do
publisher
a year of that was
didn't
just so
question
awesome.
any of that. It was just like, just
It's
yeah,
because you'd
go.
impressed them so much with your first book.
You're
like,
Like, all right.
and they were
but
so
there was
generous.
no-
It was just, I couldn't believe it. We were just able to do what we wanted.
And also I think we really approached it too from this kind of, we didn't want it to be this rigid idea of how you should sew together patchwork or how you should do this or do that. We wanted it to feel approachable. I mean, there's a lot of people who don't know how to sew, and often they'll try and start with a particular way of working, and it becomes this like, now you do this, then you do this, then you do that, then we didn't want there to be like a right or wrong. It wanted to feel like experimental, playful, and just kind of a bit of chaos, in the whole thing.
I thought for me that was really important, I think, to bring in, because like, I'm a hobby sewist at best. And like I
Shh, don't tell anyone.
But that was a valuable thing to bring in, because I'm not like I've been sewing for too long that often things that I find easy as well. And I think, oh yeah, this is easy, and people are like, what?
Yeah.
Because
No, it is. That's a really
Yeah.
good idea. Yeah, to have somebody closer to the level that would be consuming your book.
But also
Yeah.
not too educated in particular sewing methods. So there was no kind of, but we should do it like this, or we should do it like that.
and it was just totally incredibly organic.
I would say though that even though obviously your book, this one and the Zero Waste Patterns book, are very different and they have a very different approach, there is like a real visual identity to them both that does link them. I think they definitely look like they are from the same brain.
We were lucky enough to work with the same graphic design
as well. Yeah,
team.
but I think that like they're still different enough in terms of you can like the sewing with scraps visually in terms of the cover and stuff is more colourful and a bit more kind of tactile. But but they definitely share like a identity somehow. Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely sit well together.
Yeah.
On my shelf. So I had a really cool comment and some excellent questions from other zero waste pattern designer Liz Hayward.
Yes.
So Liz says, I like this book very much. I have a copy to review on my blog, but I've just started making one of the projects so she can give it a proper review. Well done, Liz. Liz says, I like the idea of making something from nothing, as you were saying before as well, where you make a garment entirely from your scrap bin, like shopping for fabric, but it's all free. And I think the techniques will be very useful for people. Here are some questions. 1, if you're making a garment from patchwork scraps, can you expect the patchwork part to take more time than the actual sewing the garment?
In most cases,
Yeah.
yes.
But like
it's
we
a hard
said,
yes.
like we
It's a
said
hard
earlier,
yes.
but it's the best time. It's the most fun time. Like,
It is, isn't it? When you've done all that and you're like, oh, I've got to sew it together now. Oh, got to outsource that part.
Yeah, that is definitely a thing for sure. But I mean, this is the thing, like in the book we tried to make, there's definitely some that are more time consuming than others, and obviously the smaller pieces you're working with often the longer it takes. But this is also why, like with the patterns that we use, we tend to try and use quite minimal shapes, so that it kind of reduces the labour of making the garment, and also so there's not too much detailing on the garment, because the detailing...
I think that's just, but we didn't deliberately make the patterns like
No,
that.
because that's just what we like.
Yeah, that's just...
Yeah.
We developed all the patterns that we've used in the book and this that we still use now are ones we developed in 2018, 2019.
Yeah.
So like they're super tried and tested kind of patterns. We're just lucky that it's a workwear style, so it's quite like minimal, I guess.
Yeah. Because you want the styles of garments to be like a good canvas, don't you?
Yeah, that's a good way
100%.
of putting it.
100%.
Yeah.
Liz also asks, in this book you said you tried other techniques to deal with scraps. What were some of the things that didn't work? Such a good question.
Yes, that is a good question. Let's think.
The
back
rag
to
rugs
those.
was
the
one.
rag rugs. Yeah, the rag rugs were super beautiful, but they didn't work as a product, I guess. I mean, we still have a couple of those rag rugs in our home, and we love them. But it wasn't something that we.
They weren't a sellable product.
It depends on which angle you're looking at it from, because I think that's the thing. Like the rag rugs, if you make them yourself, are really amazing.
For yourself.
For yourself.
Yeah.
For yourself. And I think that's the approach with this book too. Like, we see it as a craft-based approach to using scraps. It's not something that we see as something that should be commercialized and, you know, mass-produced. That was not our kind of approach with the book. And it was more about making things for yourself from that angle, which is equally as valuable. But I think, for us, it was a bit different in terms of starting Helgrose, because we did need to be able to make the product something that someone would want to buy, because otherwise, why are we making it? Like,
we were trying to support the family at this point.
Yeah. What were you trying to do that for? Yeah.
We needed to eat food.
But and I would say also, you know, the cushions, even though they do actually still, sometimes, very rarely, we'll do a couple, and they often sell around Christmas time and things like that. But I didn't enjoy using scraps just for stuffing. That wasn't kind of like why we started.
Yeah, there's a thing where you sort of want to, I guess now, I don't know, it's morphed. Like, I don't want to use scraps for stuffing anymore. It's kind of like we want to honour the scraps.
Yeah.
If anything, you know, it's like, it seems like such a cheap way out now to use it as stuffing.
I think it depends on what scraps you're working with, and
within
it
our
probably
practice, obviously.
Exactly. Like, it has its place.
Yeah.
But so and I think actually also often when we did accessories, they weren't usually as good.
Yeah, like pillow, because we did really start sort of, you know, like making little, like trying to just pin cushions and little stuffed toy, like
and
figurines
even like
and
bags
stuff.
and tote bags and things, which again, we use them all the time, the ones that we've made for ourselves, but they don't sell in our shop. And they're far too labour intensive to be able to. So
you can't really justify a high price tag on a tote bag, can you?
No, exactly. But like for us, we found in terms of our business anyway that what actually works the best is the clothing, because people want to wear it and they use it. And actually, that's another thing with this book, which I feel like we've got to explore more deeply, is making garments from scraps using similar colours. So, you know, that's something that made it very wearable.
Yeah, and that's something that we sort of learned.
It doesn't have to be pop colours and different, you know, it can be all blue or all black or all cream.
But that was us learning what would sell.
Yeah.
Really, that was just we learned that by making and
testing.
Testing. And like I said earlier, at first, when we just first started and we were, you know, doing a couple of garments in a range out of scrap, but that was it. And that was sort of, they were the highlight pieces. So we were making them more kind of pop colours and more standing out as a scrap piece. And then we, you know, made some real tone-on-tone pieces, and they just moved.
Yeah.
And
That's
and
really
they just
wearable.
looked cooler.
Yeah, it's like
we
textural as
liked them.
opposed to this.
We wanted to, right? It does just
Well,
become...
it's like the vest that you've got on the cover, isn't it? That's so nice.
That vest is Sam's, and I stole it this weekend when I went away, and I love it. Like, both of us love, like, we really love it, because it's just, like, it's so wearable, and you just layer it with other things, and it just works with everything.
Yeah.
But that's a perfect example, and that vest is like, that is like one of my favorite projects in the book, because it's also made with
100%.
all the oddly shaped offcuts from when you cut out, you know, a conventional pattern you often
sleeve
have.
and
Exactly.
But
and you just layer them up, whatever shape they are, and build.
That's kind of what's fun
So-
about. That's what's fun about the collage method. The collage, I feel like that it is, you know, patched. You are more restrained to the right angles in the square, but the collage,
or having to make seams fit together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas the collage method, you can just use the oddly shaped objects, oddly shaped offcuts, and just
layer them up.
And get more chaotically creative.
Yeah. But the point that you were making about the colours is really interesting, because I had a question from Bron, and Bron was asking what features make a patchwork garment look intentionally designed, and linked to that, Catherine wanted to know, how do you embrace the scrappy look without feeling self-conscious? And as you were saying, like, maybe making more of a tonal combination of colours is one way. Have you got any other 100%. Kind of ideas for that?
Well, I mean, one thing that I've noticed through this process of doing the book and the many years that we've worked with this is it is a little bit too of like, of course, it's to do with your own personal style and what you consider to be scrappy or not scrappy looking. But I'm finding myself more and more going towards like, I just want it to look chaotic. I want to wear all this like really. But,
Adjust your own personal taste is
exactly,
your advice.
But no, I think
this is actually a you problem.
no, not at all. But no, I think maybe it's just slowly. Yeah, you just got to slowly start bringing it in and then getting more crazy. No, but I think definitely this tone on tone thing is definitely one that helps. Maybe if you're not into the more of a scrappy look, going for seams that aren't having raw edges visible and that kind of thing, because that can make it look, I mean, I personally love that, but that is a lot more, you know, like to threads and hanging off and all sorts of stuff going on. But yeah, so and also maybe you could start with using slightly bigger scraps. And when I say bigger,
And then
I
it
don't
can just
mean
look like a
huge,
seam.
but yeah,
And
it's
not
sure.
like-
exactly.
Yeah.
That's
would
really
be-
good. Yeah, or even just using the same fabric from one project.
Exactly. I mean, what if you make a pair of pants from one of the fabric and use the offcuts to make a patchworked shirt to go with it, and you can wear them together or separate, but you know, it brings in these kind of tones that you already have in your wardrobe.
Love it. And exposure therapy generally to
Exactly.
Therapy,
To the scrappy look.
that's it. Just progressive exposure therapy. Really slow progression.
Okay. Bron's got some other questions. I might have to do this a bit rapid fire because they came up with a lot. Yeah, so they did ask what's the smallest scrap size you keep for remaking into reusable fabric. Sounds like sky's the limit.
Yeah, exactly. And actually,
Yeah.
there's one project in the book which is the terrazzo clutch, which is like a small pouch, but you can use the method for like any. We use it. We want to use it for vests and jackets. Anyway,
Eventually.
Nice.
but this method is literally layering up all the tiny little small offcuts, like a terrazzo tile, where it's all the crushed leftover pieces. It's the same concept with the textiles. And you layer it onto a base. So you do need a base, like a lining, maybe a wadding if you want to have a bit thicker. And then you just start layering up the outer layer surface with the small scraps. And this is actually something that we've started doing as workshops
Oh, cool.
at our space at the Cloth Lab.
Which is super fun.
And it's
Everybody
so
loves them.
fun.
Everybody loves
Yeah,
it. And it
it's-
seems like it's going to be a relatively kind of difficult project.
But it's not.
When you see
Yeah.
like beginners just smashing through it, and you're just, it's
And there's no
really-
right or wrong
Yeah.
with it. This is the
I
thing.
think
It's just
that's
fun,
what
playful.
yeah,
and
exactly.
creative.
Just with me saying I'm a hobby sewer at best. Yeah, like I'm a hobby sewist, and I feel like one thing that I thought when just with you saying with the book, like the approachability, I feel like one thing that can be a bit of a gatekeeper to people wanting to get into sewing is that whole idea of everything has to be perfect and you have to do it all really well and you can't make mistakes and all that kind of thing. And I think that really stops a lot of people from trying
yeah.
and from exploring like what they can do and like unleashing their creativity, I guess. And like I don't know, I really wanted to. I think we both
Yeah,
did.
and
We
that-
really wanted to like just kind of
and that really ties
just
into
do
the
it,
workshops
just make
that
it
we're doing, because
like, you know, the mistakes are what make it beautiful
Yeah,
half the time in
yeah.
the end, and there's no right and wrong, and just have a go.
yeah.
And like
And the amount of times
Yeah.
in workshops when we have new people joining and it's this, oh no, but my seam, it's not straight, or you know this or
Yeah,
that,
so
and just
what?
like,
It's
it
like-
doesn't matter.
it's so
Nothing
wild.
straight.
Go
These
for
are scraps.
it. Exactly,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
exactly. And
It's really wild, this sort
yeah.
of perception that people have of it needing to be perfect. And yeah, but it's great when it's really nice and perfectly done, but it's also great when it's not.
yeah,
It's also
Yeah.
like the imperfections are also
Yeah.
great.
like a term that
and-
you've used a lot, that you've come up with since doing the workshops and stuff, is this embrace the chaos.
yeah,
Just
Nice.
have fun and
yeah, embrace the chaos. There's
absolutely.
no
Yeah.
right or wrong.
No.
Yeah.
I think as well, when you're working with scraps, it's harder to envision what the final thing is going to be
Yeah.
as well,
Yeah.
isn't it?
I
But that's another
like
thing
when you're
with
using a
the
regular sewing
advice,
pattern.
you know, that we have is to
Yeah.
not overthink it.
Yeah.
Mm.
And
It's very easy to sit there forever being like this color or that color or this size, or you know, just choose a bunch of fabrics that you like together and then just kind of
I feel like when
Let
you
it
have
happen.
I feel like when you have an idea in your head of, we were really loose when we were coming through the projects of this book. We had a rough idea of how we wanted it to look, but it was also a really organic process making each project, and sort of oftentimes it wasn't until the end, and we were like, "Oh, that's what it looks like. Okay, cool."
Phew,
Thank God, that turned out all right.
Just spent a month
20
hours. I think that oftentimes when you are really attached to an idea of what you think the final product's going to look like, it can lead to disappointment. I feel like that whole sort of the organic process of working with scraps and sort of patching it together, how you feel you want to, and getting in the flow and doing that, and then not being overly concerned with which piece of fabric is going to end up where, and just being a little looser with it, you sort of always end up happy with it because you're not attached to this envisioned final product that ends up being slightly not what you thought. You were more attached to the process of making. I think because we are both such process-driven humans, just being in that process and going and creating and just being in that moment. And you always end up loving your final
I mean,
thing.
also as someone that, you know, whether you're doing sewing or crafts or things like that, you know, often the reason you're doing it isn't just to make something that you have an end product. It's actually you're doing it because you enjoying the process of doing it.
Yeah.
It's very fulfilling. It's like mindfulness. It's like a way of connecting with, you know, materials and things and making things for yourself. But it's not just about the end product at all.
Holding it lightly, holding what it's going to be lightly.
Yeah, I like that. I think that working with scraps kind of really leans to that, into that, just because the process is so much more organic.
Sometimes when I kind of add, you know, put scraps together, whether I'm making a sweatshirt for my husband or something, sometimes what I'll do is I'll put it down on the floor and I'll look at it and then I can walk away and come back. And then sometimes I like flip it around the other way as well, you know, and then you're even less kind of attached to it in a way. And you can think like, oh, maybe upside down actually is better, like, and have it that way
for
around.
Sure. That's a really great like way of working as well. That's a really good tip.
Do you get attached to the final product when you're making?
In what way? What do you mean? As in, like, I envision what it's going to be?
Do you envision what your final product
No, what I tend to do, I like to create a cohesive colour palette. So I'll, like, throw a load of scraps on the floor. Like, I'll say to him, like, what out of all this chaos, like, which ones are you drawn to? And I'll make sure they're included. And then I'll just kind of add the rest and then just... So, you know, put it all together.
We're the same.
I like this.
What I am attached to is the fact that I've made it, and then he recently lost one of the scrappy sweatshirts I made him.
Well, hopefully someone else out there is appreciating it and giving it.
But it has become his calling card a little bit because we went to an event somewhere, I can't remember, it must have been somewhere where there was sewers there, and they were like, oh, you're Zoe's husband, I've seen your sweatshirt on Instagram.
That's great.
But no, so losing the thing that took forever, not a fan.
That's not fun.
I do hold on quite tightly
to. It does happen sometimes, but...
I'm legit thinking about getting some of those kids' name labels where you can put a phone number in.
It's not a bad idea.
For future scrappy projects for him, because they do take longer, and I just don't want to risk it. Like, I made him a bucket hat that was made of scraps. Oh no, he hasn't lost that one. He's lost another one. Yeah.
You know, a bucket hat nearly made it into the book. Sam really wanted a bucket hat in the book.
I was fighting
Although
for a
I don't
bucket
think
hat.
That would have been great.
I don't think in the end it was a matter of like, oh no, I don't, because I'm not as big a fan of bucket hats.
Birgitta hates bucket hats. I have fought for bucket hats.
Hate's a strong word.
Hate is a strong word, I'm sorry, but
I'm shook.
I have fought for bucket hats for like every range we've done, I feel like, in the summer, for every time we need an accessory. 100%. Birgitta's no.
I think the thing that stopped me was like, but we've got to make a pattern for it. We don't have a bucket hat pattern. And then I was just like, I can't. And it was...
I'm sorry. You've created a zero-waist jumpsuit pattern in multiple size ranges. I think you could probably whip up a bucket hat pattern. I'm going to say that
it's
now.
Possible.
It is very, 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 very
we'll say
possible.
Sewing with Scraps 2, the next book. Hopefully your dream of the bucket hat will make it in.
Fingers crossed.
It's just so funny. It's like, it's such low-hanging fruit for you. You're like, no.
Yeah, maybe that's why though, right? Maybe that's why. Maybe it is just such
too
low-hanging fruit for it. Yeah, no, 100%.
Oh, I love this. Okay, it's a really good question from Emily. Emily is asking, for those of us who are not garment makers, what is your favourite non-clothing thing to sew with scraps? I'm jealous I didn't think of that question myself, because that's genius.
Look, I would say that I think that we've got a bunch of tote bags. I know it sounds boring, but tote bags out of scraps. And I just think that the final product, now speaking about final product, ends up being really cool because you've got a really big, long panel that you can show off.
And also, that's a nice way to bring in the patchwork vibe if you're not so much into it with the clothing, because it adds a really cool, thing that you carry around that has a bit more, scrappiness to it, but it doesn't have to be
and it's not like on
wearing.
Your body. Yeah. So it's not like, this is my personality.
Exactly. But another thing, actually, which, I mean, slightly depends on how large you want the project to be, but we've actually started covering, we've finished one, we've got 2 old couches that we bought, this beautiful, like, kind of, what sort of wood is this, the light wood?
It's pine. It's
pine. It's just like beautiful pine frame couches, 2-seater and 3-seater that we got secondhand.
Really chunky kind of design.
And it was just a secondhand one that had like shitty old cushions. So we've started recovering all the cushions with quite chaotic
with the strips method. Yeah.
Oh, so wow, okay.
Like multicolour.
This is not a quick project.
No. We finished one of the 2-seaters.
Yeah, we did one. We had to push one through really, really quick because we had a...
for the book?
It was for an exhibition. It was for an exhibition. So we...
the third one's gone a bit... The second one's gotten a little bit stopped.
Yeah, like one of the couches was quite large. We've finished the one that's a bit smaller. But it's so breathtaking because you have this strips method, which in the book we use in the... for the tote bag, and it's just a tote bag we use. The similars, and we got strip, just all the way along, and it's just this coloured, like chaos,
but then the wooden frame
and
kind of use the same word, frames it, like it kind of contains it somehow.
Yeah.
And
so a tote bag or a couch, I guess, is a good
couch.
Take your pick.
You could look at cushion. How much you cover? You're like, no, actual couch. Okay, there you go, Emily.
But
couch.
Actually, also the terrazzo clutch is really great as well. Because you can actually, this particular pattern that we've done, it's one size, but it's easy to adjust, and it works really well for like a laptop cover or an iPad cover or something like that. It's because it's quite thick because it's got wadding, and so
nice.
That's a good one as well. Yeah.
Good for presents coming up for Christmas.
Yep.
Okay, so Birgitta, we cannot have a conversation without at least touching on zero-waste sewing patterns. Yes. So Kate says, Kate has got your new book on their Christmas list. Kate says, could you ask if there are any other zero-waste designers that they would recommend that we check out as well? Do you even have time to like keep an eye on what's going on in the kind of zero-waste clothing and sewing pattern scenes?
I mean, in terms of keeping an eye on it, I mean, a thing that I was think about is like, even though I design patterns, I'm not looking at other people's I'm not consuming other patterns. So it's not often that I'm researching.
Interesting, whereas Liz Hayward does. She often reviews others.
Yeah, she
finds time.
Reviews. Yeah, exactly, she does in her awesome blog, which is amazing. But yeah, it's not usually something, I mean, definitely like I know all the, like Liz Hayward does amazing patterns. Decode is another one. But no, I don't know of so many more. But I would like to.
Scraps.
I mean, I'd be interested to look into it if they come up.
You should read Liz's blog.
Exactly.
They're all on there.
You've got Liz's book.
Oh my God, why am I not doing this? Yeah, so next time we speak.
With all your spare time.
But no, the thing is like we do a lot more than just sewing patterns as well. So we're always like in so many different projects and different things. And a lot of what we're doing now is around the scraps and that kind of thing. But like I'm really interested in kind of grassroots community-based projects or cool like businesses that are repurposing and reusing scraps in really cool ways. Or
Cool. Can you, off the top of your head, think of any that you would recommend people check out?
Yeah, so there's one I really love I think they're based in California, called Sway Sew Shop.
Oh, yes.
They're so good. And I just love the way that they engage like the community. I love they have this community dye bath. You know, where you just send in an old garment and they have like a theme each time they have a community.
Yeah, they have like a palette, don't they? Like every season they have a palette of colours you can choose.
Very cool. Yeah, so like stuff like that I think is amazing. They recently did merch for Billie Eilish using all these old workwear uniforms. How does this
community dye bath work? I didn't.
So you send in like clothes that need a fresh life, and it all goes in the same dye bath.
Yeah.
And so they all come out maybe like tie-dye with a particular colour palette, or they have like a theme to it, and it looks kind of a certain way. And then all the garments just come back, and you pay a small amount for each garment. It's awesome.
That's really cool.
It's very, very cool. But there's also there's also some really cool stuff going on locally where we are in Malmö. There's a really cool place here called Studio 234 Plus, and they do everything from like clothing alterations and remake, but they also have their own kind of almost brand within that, where they make garments using all like secondhand textiles and garments and remake and that kind of thing.
His work is really
cool.
Amazing. He's sort of it's interesting to see like as this new wave is like it's just as designers now are working with remake. I'm really enjoying seeing how they're putting their own identity and their own brand onto remade garments, and
like you can see with like Studio
234 Plus,
you can tell when it's his garment.
Yeah, you could. He's really just nailed it in that he can remake a garment, and you know it. He's got his own flavor, his own style, and you know it. You can see it. Yeah, I think it's really
cool.
Really awesome when people can do that, can execute that.
Cool. Yeah. I'll try and find that and link it in the show notes for people to check out. Amazing. So where can people get your amazing book? Put it on their Christmas list.
Wherever books are available online, pretty much. Or in person. Yeah. I mean, most local bookstores will order it in if they don't already stock it.
Exactly. If they don't already stock it, don't go don't. It's really hard.
No, that's staying in. That's staying in.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. It's really hard because you don't want to push Amazon, but then it's like it does actually end up affecting how your book goes. It's really unfortunate. Well,
that's questionable.
It's really unfortunate. Yeah. But anyway, all good bookstores and
all the good bookstores.
Yes.
And, all bookstores and anywhere online. Yeah, it's highly available.
Amazing. I also heard from one of the patrons in the Check Your Thread community who have said that there's actually a lot floating around in the Glasgow library system currently. So that's very cool.
Very cool.
So someone who's responsible for buying.
Nice.
Yeah, so ask your local libraries as well.
Because
then they
100%. 100%.
Yeah, they can buy them in and then people can...
Exactly, yeah. And often if you do like approach a library or a local bookstore, you know, they will order it in because if they hear about it from someone they go, okay, this is something that maybe people want to see.
Yeah. And that's brilliant because then that's just more exposure for your book as well. And it can get into the hands of people that maybe can't afford to buy it for themselves as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. Thank you so much for talking to me. It's been super fun to speak to you both.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, super nice to meet you.
Amazing. Yeah, you too. All the best with the book. I know it's incredibly inspiring and I can't wait to see projects popping up all over the sewing community inspired by it.
Us too, we can't wait to see what you want.
Thanks so much for listening. I really hope you enjoyed this episode and are left feeling inspired. For more info about the podcast, including show notes for this and every episode, head to checkyourthread.com. I'd love to hear from you, so if you have any comments, questions or ideas for future episodes, please get in touch by emailing zoe@checkyourthread.com or find me on Instagram @checkyourthread. Massive thanks to Patrick Potter for production support, to Sylvia Seller for the awesome logo design, and to Simon at Palm Skin Productions for the music. This ad-free podcast would not be possible without listener support, so if you feel you are able, please consider signing up to the Check Your Thread Patreon. For the equivalent of buying me a coffee each month, you'll be making it possible to continue producing regular episodes. Links can be found in the show notes and on the website checkyourthread.com. I hope you'll listen again next week. Until then, take care. Bye!